say somebody who's listening to this isn't an athlete and you're talking to somebody who just like has a 9-to-5 job or kind of is like a stay-at-home mom, how can like they implement this kind of running to better their life?
Yeah, so
All right, I'm going to just start it here. I don't know if I'll put any of that in. Welcome back, guys, to the Kind of Nice podcast. This is episode 41, I believe. Today we have a couple guests. That one is a reoccurring guest. He was here. If you've been around for a long time, James was, I think, on one of the first 10 or 20 episodes. Yeah. And then his, your local hippie / one of James's training partners / team members, BC Fitness. She's, I know her through Iron Sports in the gym that I used to and still do train at for Ninja Warrior. She was there when I first started. So she's been around, known me for a long time as well. And then we have Rocky mic'd up as well. Today it's going to be, mostly we're going to talk about some fitness things because James has been my coach since I was 12. And so you're gonna, if you're here for trying to learn the fitness things, you've come to the right place. We're going to talk kind of what I've learned from him and maybe learn some new things like for myself as far as nutrition goes. But I think we're going to get started with some intro. You guys want to introduce yourselves? Say hi. Say, what are you?
Fearless leader?
Sure. No, ladies first, always.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
I got a sip on my espresso. That's why.
Okay. My name is Lauren Inmon.
Hey. The mic.
My name is Lauren
Fist away from the
Inmon.
mic. Put that closer to you. You're going to forget. There you go.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that's better.
Acceptable? Okay. My name is Lauren Inmon. And yeah, I've known kids since he was a wee lad. Mm-hmm. I've known James for probably 12 years now. So a long time. They've known me since I was a baby beekeeper, a baby hippy dippy.
You weren't a beekeeper back in the day.
No, yeah, it was in the making.
Maybe.
The foundation for the hippie.
Yeah.
Bum
It started
life
a long
was
time
always
ago.
there.
It was all building. But I've known them for a long time. I still train with James, still see kid knocking around and give him a hard time.
From time to
About
time.
his life choices sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Fair.
They're like family to me. I'm glad to be here.
What you been up to, James, since the last time the Kind of Nice audience caught up with you?
Just training people like Lauren, trying to help people change their lives by changing their mind.
Wow.
Yeah, you like that? And doing the church thing, serving at church, doing the norms. So in and out, training myself. I've done a couple marathons, I think, since we talked.
Disgusting.
Did a OCR World Championships.
That I can get down with, not the marathon.
Yeah. And did this new thing, actually, that kind of has just was very surprising how much I enjoyed it, called High Rocks.
Oh, really? You told me.
Yeah, it was legit. So, but it was tough, man. It was fun. So, but yeah, just competing, training, living life, having fun.
Sweet. If you guys want to catch this episode on video, we now have the YouTube channels launched. So there's older episodes. If you want to be currently up to date with all the episodes we have out on video, you got to go to the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/kindofnice. You can check out all those videos. We also have an Instagram page. So let's start. I want to start with running because I think that's the one thing. So my relationship with running has always been, it was not a straight line, right? So at first I was running with Andy Lowe's, who's an old school ninja guy.
Yeah.
And we run at Memorial. We do 2 laps, which is 6 miles, I think.
Mm-hmm. 3 mile loop.
But we'd be running at a 7:30, a 6 minute, it would suck. I would feel like absolute death. I remember every time we ran the loop, the first 2 miles is I'm cozy. Mm-hmm. The second 2 miles is I'm uncomfortable. And the last 2 miles is I want to die. And so running for me sucked. I hated doing it. And I felt like it was always a chore. And then you introduced, as I started training more efficiently and training smarter, you introduced me to kind of recovery runs and more, is it anaerobic? Aerobic fitness to where you're running and you're able to have a conversation the entire time and your heart rate's in a certain zone to where you're not redlining yourself for 30 minutes.
Right.
So that changed everything for me almost, because when I learned that, I actually started enjoying running, and it was a way for me to mentally and physically, it was good for me, because when you run at that pace, you're not taxing yourself. It's almost refreshing.
Yeah.
And then it's also, it clears your mind, but you still get fitness benefits. I was trapped in this cycle in the past. I think we all were back in the Iron Sports Sam days, where if you didn't train until you were about to puke and maybe pass out, you felt like you weren't you didn't do anything. You felt oh, it's not beneficial. And then we, through the years, we learned that volume was way more important than intensity, and that if you go for and we're just going to use the run example, but if say in a week you go run 2 or 3 times, and those 2 or 3 times are enjoyable, and at the end of it you still feel good, and you put in like 3 miles at like a slower pace, like say like a 9:30 or 10-minute pace, or if you're not really into fitness, like you do it at like a 12 or 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever that pace is for you, that you still feel cozy and you're able to talk. Doing that for me led my fitness to like kind of become even more potent, because I was putting in more and more volume. And it was, at first I didn't see it. At first I felt like frustrated because I was like, I'm not training enough. I'm not doing enough. And then like after a couple months of just consistency with it, then I would go to like run some 400s or do a course. And I was like, I feel like my cardio is better, but I never like, I was trying to like track in my mind, like when did I train enough for like my cardio to be like this good? And then I realized that the volume I'd putting in good. So talk a little bit about that, and like, you know, cause I'm like kind of butchering it, but talk a little bit about like conversation pace and putting in that kind of fitness, and how it can help, like say somebody who's listening to this isn't an athlete, and you're talking to somebody who just like has a 9-to-5 job or kind of is like a stay-at-home mom. How can like they implement this kind of running to better their life?
Yeah. So I think you did a pretty good job. I mean, that was pretty concise.
Solid.
So, but yeah, you're talking about aerobic fitness, right? So people use the word cardio. I actually had a long conversation with someone yesterday. They were like, I hate running. And most people think I love to run. Like it's like my favorite thing in the world to do. And actually it's not. Like I ran in high school and a little bit in college, and it was the thing I hated more than anything else. And I think a lot of it had to do with exactly the same things you were talking about, kid, is that, if you're going out and doing it as hard as you can every single time, it's like you dread it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and it hurts, and you're like, I just don't want to hurt like that, right? And part of that is, you know, where your heart is working so hard that you really just can't process oxygen enough, right? And so you feel that burn, that lactate builds up, and all that good stuff. So, you know, spending a lot of time. This is what I've really come to utilize a lot in, you know, when I'm training someone, when I'm planning a training block, or, you know, training one of my athletes, is, you know, intensity you mentioned, and volume. Mm-hmm. So we operate off what's called the 80-20 principle. And simply what that is 80% of our training, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's running, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's obstacles, you know, whatever, 80% of it is easy efforts. And when I say easy, I mean like you literally could finish the workout and do the whole workout again. Yeah. Right. Now that is obviously scalable based on the individual's workout history, fitness level, experience. Right. So what's easy for me, it could be hard for somebody else. Yeah. You know? And so you don't base your easy workouts or whatever based on somebody else's routines or their fitness history. You base it off of what you can do. Right. Yeah. So how fast you go doesn't matter. Yeah. Speed doesn't. And this is the thing that's the hardest thing to preach to people. Speed does not matter in training. Yeah. The only time it matters is when you're racing. Yeah. Right. So if I slow down and I run a 13-minute pace, you know, and I can run that for, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles, whatever. And then I could turn around and run an 8-minute pace when I'm racing. Well, I would much rather be able to do that in a race than to worry about trying to beat somebody on Garmin or Strava or on some social network, right? Of some person I don't even know that's halfway across the world, right? And I see that all the time. It's crazy. Some of the guys I race against, they're always like dropping these 730s all the time. And then in a race, they drop 730s and that's it, right? So, if you don't increase your overall aerobic capacity, which basically just comes down to your strength in your heart.
Can you break down aerobic and anaerobic and all that?
Yeah. So, I mean, usually you talk about zones, right? So traditionally, and it depends on where you're from or, kind of what you subscribe to. But for the most part, the most popular is like a 5-zone training system, right? Yeah. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Zone 1 is pretty much more kind of sitting around, right? What we're doing right now, this is zone 1. Right here, okay. So anywhere from your resting heart rate up to movement working. Zone 2 is what we call either your recovery or your fat burning zone. And that's a very low intensity. And walking, even jogging, you can do that. Riding a bike, oftentimes you can do that at a very low intensity. Swimming. And so the reason we call that the fat burning zone is because if you operate in that low intensity zone for extended periods of time. So we're talking, when I say extended, I'm talking like hour and a half, 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Then what your body does is it goes into a form of ketosis, right? Yeah. Where it starts using fat as its main source of energy. Okay. And you're not tricking your body into doing it. Okay. It's what your body's meant to do. Yeah. Okay. The next zone is what we call zone 3. And that's our aerobic zone. And really all the way up to zone 3, what your body does is it uses oxygen to create energy. Okay. And it's just this long drawn out, like complicated, it really need to see a picture to see it, but it's called the Krebs cycle. Mm-hmm. And basically as long as you can get enough oxygen into your body and your body can process it and you're operating at a low enough intensity, then you can have almost unlimited amounts of energy.
Yeah.
So the reason we train in zone 3 is because it's what really helps our heart to work as efficiently as possible, right? And that's what's all about, is efficiency. Zone 4 is what we call our threshold, our lactate threshold, or our threshold training zone. And that basically is where most people live, right? When people go out for runs, they're always doing that. So in other words, you're running too fast to get any kind of aerobic benefit, but you're running too slow to get any kind of like serious anaerobic benefit.
So is that like a weird zone to where like if you're always training there, like you're not reaping as many benefits as you would if you were like committing to one or the other?
Exactly. So if you, and like I said, most people spend their time there in that threshold. But the problem is that most people, that's really only, if you're in that zone, you can really only sustain that to about 60 minutes. That's what your lactate threshold is. It's basically your max effort that you could hold for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. But the problem is that's pretty intense. And especially if you did it for 60 minutes at a time, then it can lead to injury. It can lead to, fatigue. And then in addition to that, it's going to be tough, right? And you're not going to benefit from that aerobic fitness. Now, you should spend time in your lactate threshold, but that's that 20% that we were talking about, right?
So what about zone 5? Do you like, in the percentage, the 80-20 scenario, in what percentage of that are you in zone 5? Like 5%, 10%, 15?
Well, it depends on what training you're doing, what you're training for.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we subscribe to a thing called basically.
So let's say for ninja, since mostly like, we talk about ninja a lot. I think for ninja, like what would that 20% training look like? And then what would you ever want to go in? I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything in ninja that would make you go to zone 5.
So
like
zone
like
5,
Midoriyama.
yeah. So zone 5 is anaerobic, right?
That's like full out sprint,
and that's like
going,
all out, everything you got, right? And so you can do that for like 2 to 5 minutes, right?
2 to 5 minutes,
right? I mean,
really,
yeah. So your body your body creates, your muscles create a thing called ATP, which is energy, right? About 3 to 5 seconds. And so the way the system works is it's constantly reproducing that energy based on the nutrition and calories, things like that you take into your body, the glycogen stores, whatever. So. But it's one of those things where as you train that 2 to 5 minutes, right? When you first start, you might be able to go super duper hard for 2 minutes. Yeah. But as you train in that anaerobic, it may be 5 minutes, right? Or it may be a little bit longer, a little less, right? As you become more adept and more efficient at operating in those zones. But the downside is that you really can't go max effort that long. Now in ninja, think about it. I mean, have you ever done an obstacle course run on ninja where you felt like you were going to die?
The most tired is like after stage 1, like when like you beat stage 1, but that's mostly due to like the desert air of Vegas.
Sure.
You're like just like kind of sucking in wind.
Right.
But like cardio wise, and that's something, this is kind of like a left field thing, but I'm helping one of the girl, like young ninjas, Isabel, train a little bit. And I was teaching her about like cardio and stuff. And she didn't understand like and I didn't early when I was younger. So like, it's no diss, but like a lot of like the youth will like do all this like training where they're doing like grip and pull-ups and this and that. And then they get to Vegas where they're doing like these little bit longer, more intense courses. Mm-hmm. And like, they don't understand why their muscles don't work. And it's because they have no cardio. It's like their heart isn't able to get oxygen to the muscle group. So they can't get up the wall. They can't hold on to anything. They're like, what's going on? Like, why am I pumping here? And it's like a cardio pump versus like a forearm pump, right? A good example of that is like Barclay will tell me like, yeah, she'll get to like the wall in Vegas on stage 1, and then her legs just don't work. And that isn't because she hasn't done like enough leg days or her legs are weak. It's because her heart is literally unable to produce, or her legs are unable to produce energy because her cardiovascular system isn't able to get the oxygen to
Well, really probably what it is more than anything is it's a buildup of lactate. Okay. Yeah. So, which is waste. Okay. So your body creates waste byproducts every time it burns that energy, that ATP.
Does your cardiovascular system, like the stronger it is, the better you like flush that out?
So in other words, what happens is I like to think of it as like a triangle, right? And so the bigger your foundation, the higher your peak. And so if you constantly are working on your aerobic fitness, if you're working on your heart's efficiency, well, what that means is let's say right now I have the ability to run a 10-minute mile and keep my heart rate low. Well, if I continue to train, and keeping my heart rate low, well, eventually what's going to happen is I'll be able to run, say, a 9-minute mile and keep my heart rate low. Yeah. Well, what's also going to happen is instead of it just benefiting my aerobic zone, it's also going to benefit my lactate zone. It's going to benefit my anaerobic because now I've just taken my foundation up a level.
That's what was weird to me when I first started doing this kind of training was that like I wouldn't for like a few months I didn't do like any speed work, no 400s, no 800s, nothing hard, right? But then
How dare you? How dare you?
I did it in the elbow.
He's got espresso and
towards me.
chocolate stuck in his throat. But anyways, I would do that training, and then my buddy was running 400s the other day, and like I wasn't really doing it, but he was just like, "Oh, he's doing it with me," and I was like, "Sure." Like, but I hadn't done them in like 2 years, maybe, or a year, and I ran it in like almost a minute, and I was like, I remember that being like really hard. Like breaking a minute would be impossible for me, and this was like casual. Like I just did it, and I was just like, oh damn, like what happened? And I didn't know if it was because maybe I got older and I'm like more in my prime, or if it was like all the slow training I'd been doing.
If I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
If I'm training for Ninja, why do I need to run? How much should I be running, like, for the show?
Well, whether it's Ninja or anything else, everybody will benefit from running. Everybody can benefit from it. Now, the amount of running you do differs based on the training, right? What you're training for. But in my personal opinion, like for Ninja, most of your events are going to last anywhere from, 1 to 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, that's about it.
Depending on how fast you are, right? So I remember when I did it, I think the longest I was ever on a course was maybe like 4 minutes, right? Total. And that was like in a final climbing up a 60-foot freaking cargo net, right? So, you really don't need to be putting in 30 miles a week or anything like that. And so what I usually tell people is something like this is if you could run 3 days a week for 20 to 30 minutes at a time without walking, but you can keep that nice and easy pace, you're going to build your aerobic fitness. And what you're going to find is that after 4 to 6 weeks, that's going to seem extremely easy. Okay. And so the key is that if that's super duper easy, well, it probably wouldn't hurt to expand that to maybe 45 minutes. Okay. Or maybe to see how long does it take me how far can I go in 30 minutes? And if that's 3 miles, well, maybe now I just add a half a mile to my run. And so the body, it takes the body about 4 to 6 weeks to adapt to any type of stimulus. Okay. Or training load. And so the key to constantly improving is constantly not only changing the dynamics of the workouts, but changing the intensity of the workouts and the loads. So a perfect example, I'll use myself, right? Because it's me. So I just did we've been doing this competition on the weekends with kind of our team, and it's like a virtual thing, right?
It's
and
fun.
so there's no race environment. There's no TVs. There's no spectators. It's just like 6 or 7 of us doing stuff together, right? And we're all doing it on our own because none of us are at the same fitness level.
Yeah.
So I want to say it was like maybe 2 years ago, I went and did a 5K race, right? And, 5Ks are supposed to be fast, right? You're supposed to go super duper fast. And so I went and did the race, and, I'm pretty good shape. I'd been running, right? And I was training for a marathon actually. So I think I ran it in like 20 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that, right? So it's like a 6:20 pace, 6:30 pace,
That's
something
quick.
Like that. And so I think it's like 6:35. And so, I haven't ran a 5K since then. And so we wanted to do this competition. I've been training at an easy pace, right? Since then, I do speed work from time to time, but I've never just gone out just to see how fast I could run a 5K. A couple weeks ago, I just went to the track and just ran, right? By myself for the most part. Had a couple of the athletes with us. They were doing their own thing. And I ran, I think it was like a 19:10 or something like that. 19:20, 5K. Yeah.
Pretty quick.
So
What's the average pace on that?
So it's like a 6:10 pace.
Damn.
Right. So I went from a 6:35, 6:40 pace, and I was dying. I'm talking like it was everything I had.
Zone 4.
Yeah. Zone 8. All right. And to, dropping 20 seconds a mile off, right? Which is a lot for a 5K.
Yeah.
And that was by myself, not max effort, just running, right? Just going out there. And so, that right there, without even specifically training for that event, trying to do that, because I've been training for obstacle course racing, I was still able to basically shave over a minute off of a 5K, which is a ton of time on something that short. So, whether you're running, a 5-minute course, right? Or you're doing a 1-minute course, the benefit is it benefits your heart, and your heart becomes more efficient, not only processing oxygen, but blood circulation.
Yeah.
Right. And the blood circulation is what's going to flush out that lactate. You're talking about Barclay, right? Well, the problem is that you get this buildup of lactate and you can't move anymore, right? We talk about flash pump all the time. And so if you're way more efficient at processing that oxygen, and then you're also going to be way more efficient at processing waste.
Damn, that's interesting. I think it surprises me how many because ninja's a very interesting sport, and I talk about it because that's what I know, but I'm sure in other sports it might be the same thing. But I've come to realize that like I think, and I'm not sure. I mean, do you think that like if we take other sports, right, like LeBron or like some NFL players or like some of these other guys, like, do you think they do this kind of like training, this kind of like running? Like
For sure.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. And when you're talking on the elite level, you just see these guys do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But the majority of and oftentimes, right, when you're seeing these videos, you're seeing videos of them going all out. Okay. That's not happening all the time. Right. They may be doing way more training than you're doing, but the bulk of it is going to be at those lower intensities. Like the guy who just broke the world record for the half marathon. He ran a half marathon in 57 minutes. Okay. That's 13 miles. And that means he was running like a sub 430 mile. Dude was running a 420 mile.
That's not even real.
For 13.
That's not real.
That's like
but here's
14
the thing.
miles an hour.
But like if you don't run, you don't
understand
people
it.
listening to this, they're just like, what does this mean? These are numbers.
These
you're
are just
throwing at
numbers,
me.
right?
If you understand pacing and that, you're like, that's not real.
So
like,
it's like literally, it's like running 15 miles an hour. Everybody ran 100 meters in high school at some point, right? And if you could hit 12 seconds in 100 meters, you were like considered to be fairly fast, right? That's like running a 12-second 100 meters for 13 miles.
Yeah.
That is nuts, right?
It is.
Well, these guys, you're thinking, okay, well, they've got great genetics or whatever. Well, they're running a ton of volume.
yeah.
They're running 100 miles a week or something crazy
Damn.
like that, right? But like 80 of those miles are running so slow, like 9-minute miles, 8-minute miles, right?
Yeah. Well, I think like what comes to mind with me, like seeing like, I mean, boxers like
Floyd's the
Floyd,
winner.
Muhammad Ali, like all those guys like ran like Mike Tyson, like they ran a ton, right? And I mean, that's a big thing that I like draw inspiration from.
Well, even their jump rope, right? You love the jump rope,
Yeah.
right? Well, they would do rounds of jump rope, but because of their training, they would do them at an intensity level that was so low they could just keep going and going and going, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's jump rope is great for that. What I was gonna say before is I'm shocked at the amount of like because ninja is a sport where like you can kind of think you're a professional athlete, and like a lot of like Jessie LeBrecq was just on, and she talked about how she feels like she's a professional athlete, and to some degree, like we do train like it, like
Yeah, for sure. You
there's
definitely
some,
put in the time in it.
there's some aspects that like we don't have the other professional athletes do have, but I these people that do like claim to be these professional athletes but don't understand like this fundamental like principle of running and like understanding like your cardio system and like that your heart is the most important like muscle you could ever train because it literally impacts every other muscle.
Yeah.
If your heart sucks but you're like everything else is super strong versus like you take a guy who's average who has like an amazing heart, like he's probably gonna beat the guy that has like super strong.
Yeah.
In terms of like endurance and long term things, maybe not like a 1 rep max, but that's like I'll go train like ninjas will come in town here and we'll go. I went running with like Kevin Carbone the other day, and he does run, but he just like says he just no watch, no like understanding of it. He just goes out and runs.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's better than nothing.
Heck yeah.
But if once you break down the science and you kind of get not addicted, but you kind of draw passion from like understanding the numbers. And I think for me the three things were at first I would run for time and like heart rate zone. So I would just keep my heart rate in a certain zone. And then I would do it for 30 minutes. And it didn't matter what pace that was. It was just, that's what I did.
Yep.
But then once you do that for a while, you start to like learn your pace and what pace that is. And then I would like translate to like no longer caring about my heart rate and just holding a certain pace. Not like making that pace crazy or anything, but learning all these different aspects like motivated me to run more and more. So I think if you're an athlete, if you're just like a stay-at-home mom or like anybody really, go run. Because if you think about it, I mean, I think humans are built to run. Like we have all these cars and these things that take you everywhere now, like for free. But I think fundamentally, like we're built to run and go places and move and be like athletic and not live
sedentary lives.
It's also fairly cheap.
I mean, it's not
you don't wanna
it's
be
not the
still.
sexy thing, right? But running is probably
It kind of is though.
Running's not sexy. I feel very sexy.
It's more
when I
sexy
run.
I'm
than
not
not
saying you
running.
can't be sexy and run, people.
I'm very
I mean, have you
sexy when I
seen
run.
me? Look over here.
I don't
Look at
want
this
to.
guy over here.
I can't
You need
look
your
at
wife here.
I can't. No, yeah, I can't look at you and call you sexy because I don't want to lead a bus through that
What
door.
I'm saying is that running is the single like greatest thing you can do for your overall health.
Yeah,
right?
Regardless of who you are,
Who
if
you
you're an
are,
athlete,
what you're doing,
yeah.
right? And your concept of running, if you could just, if we can understand that it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be long and you don't have to do it all right now. You can progress up to it at a slow, easy pace.
Now, the thing that comes to mind immediately when we make that statement is what about people who literally physically can't run, like in wheelchairs or have disabilities? I still think you can get that benefit from like an arm bike or like anything really,
Yeah.
because you could still do like the heart rate threshold stuff without being able to run. You can
Swimming,
Absolutely.
cycling,
swimming, elliptical, like
skiers, rowers.
Swimming,
yeah.
fantastic.
So when we say running, we mean more like that long cardio stuff. For us, it's running, so it's easier for us to say running.
Anything that is a steady state effort that you remain in zone 2 or zone 3 for an extended period of time would be an
And
aerobic
for some
effort.
people, that could just be going for a walk. Honestly,
It could be.
at some
And actually,
point.
a lot of my athletes, that's how I have to have them start. I have to start
Yeah.
because they've been running fast for so long. The concept of slowing down just seems painful, right? So, as long as you're moving, that's the key. That's the start. And then moving turns to fast walking, walking turns to jogging, jogging turns to running, running turns to, completely changing your mind and understanding what fitness is all about.
yeah.
You're a run coach, right, James? And
I am.
so, what if someone doesn't have that technique, right? What are like? Can we go to you for this? Or
Actually, yeah, this is
yes,
true.
you can definitely go to James
Some
for your
people don't know
technique.
how to. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I see some people run, and I'm like, you don't know how to run.
yeah, it's a lot of
Well-
people don't know. They don't know how to run.
Right.
I'm moving fast, right? It's
Yeah.
fast walk.
Well, it's crazy because it's just mechanics. So it's like with Ninja too, right? It's efficiency, right? So
Yeah.
there's some moves, laches, right? You can do, and there's a more efficient way to do it or a faster way to do it. So running is the exact same way. And most of the things are just bad habits we've picked up over a life of being sedentary, sitting down in chairs, shortened hip flexors, weak, muscular imbalances, injuries, stuff like that. And so if you can kind of realize what those are and you can get a better concept of what more efficient running is, you can literally not get any additional fitness and run faster just from better form. It's crazy, man. It's really nuts. So, because most of the time, when you watch people, we usually video people in slow motion and we'll talk about, like their gait cycle and, how they're landing, overstriding, whatever, their turnover. And like 90% of the population, or let me rephrase that, 90% of the people that I end up coaching overstride, right? And what that is basically is you're putting the brakes on and you're slowing yourself down. So you're literally fighting yourself from going forward. And so if you can kind of correct that, right, through drills and, like basically brain exercises is what you're doing, right? Creating these neural pathways, then that also will help improve your running. And it'll help you with anything, right? So the key to doing any kind of strength exercises is form, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's all about form. And so you master the form first before you really start going crazy with like weight or intensity levels.
Yeah. It's true.
And it really does make a huge difference having correct form because I come from a dance background and James has been helping me work on my form for like the last year. And we're still like really having to fight like my tendency to point my toes, turn my feet out. So
Yeah, she runs like kind of like a
duck.
a ballerina duck.
Like a real
it's
pretty
really,
duck.
It's really
A real pretty duck.
It's really
real pretty
funky, man.
duck.
It's
Like a swan.
It's really
That's what I
crazy
like to think of
sometimes. And here's the deal: is she may be fine, but then she gets fatigued,
And I get tight hip flexors really
right?
bad. That's
And
a problem.
so when she gets fatigued, then like her form falls apart because she just falls back into the kind of the old habits, right? So
Yeah.
and she's fighting herself, right? And then she was talking about the hip flexors or her hip, right? Sometimes,
Yeah, definitely for sure.
and that's just because her form is fighting against the way her body needs to move, right? Not the way her body wants to move, but the way her body needs to move. And it creates those muscular imbalances, those like little, we call them niggles or whatever, where it's just like you get a little pain in your knee or you get a pain in your hip or something like that.
Yeah. And it feels like my brain is fighting my body.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel natural.
It doesn't. It feels so unnatural to flex my feet when they feel like they should be pointing and like leaping through the air.
Right. But that's why you train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's move on to the next thing. I want to talk a little bit nutrition, and this is something that I think that's the one thing that I've never fully dived into in terms of like my training. So when we used to like do the training blocks and be very serious about like me, like I would like the whole day to me would be dedicated to training for Ninja and like go for a run in the morning, then train later, like stretch and eat. But eating was like I never wanted to get into like that count your like calories and do the MyFitnessPal where you like count like the different macros and all this stuff. Like it's just something that I felt like if I started to do that, it would just be too much. Like I would just like lose interest in everything. But for people who might want to get into that kind of thing, give me a little taste.
So broad.
Say what?
So broad.
So broad. Well,
Like let me more specifically, because I know that like when you have different fitness goals or life goals, right? And
Sure.
say you're trying to lose weight, then like you want to be in a calorie like deficit, right? That's because the way your body works is if you're in a deficit, you're going to lose weight because it's going to start to have to like break itself down to create the energy that you don't have through nutrition. But say like that you're trying to gain weight, you want to be in like in a surplus so that like your body puts on weight. But say that my goal is strictly to just be the best athlete that I want to be, then do I just want to be maintaining right in the middle, or like where do I want to be?
So that's a great question. So easiest way to break it down, calories equal energy. Repeat that with me. Calories are energy.
I hope you followed along out there.
Y'all were supposed to repeat. It's okay. Leave me hanging.
You got hundreds of people in their cars.
They're all repeating it right now.
Calories
I
are
heard one person.
We've seen Dora the Explorer. We know how it works.
So calories are just energy. And so if you're in a calorie deficit, yes, you will lose weight, but you probably won't have as much energy. If you're in a calorie surplus, you're probably going to gain weight, but you'll probably have plenty of energy. And depending on what the macronutrition looks like, proteins, carbs, and fats, what have you, then that could dictate your body composition. Calories basically really just dictate your energy levels and your mass, your body weight. It's just simple math, right? So I think probably one of the biggest struggles that people have that I deal with on a regular basis is less about eating to be a great athlete and more about eating or not eating or doing a fad diet or whatever to look a certain way.
Yeah, and I'm so like opposite to everybody because I do care how I look to a certain extent, but as long as I'm not like overweight and like unhealthy, right? Like I don't care. Like I'd rather just be functional and like a freak athlete than be like shredded and cut and look amazing.
And that's the funny thing is if you give your body what it needs, the whole shredded and cut stuff just automatically comes.
You said you can have both.
You can. It's so here's a perfect example.
James is like, look at me. I'm a living example.
So like Lauren, okay?
Yes.
So Lauren, you grew up, right, a certain way. You were doing dance, right? You were doing modeling, right? You were trying to be like the next runway person,
On
right?
Giselle.
So what was your relationship like with food and your concept of like eating calories?
Ooh, we're opening up that box. Great. So
Don't cry.
I won't cry, I promise. So I actually had it's going to get emotional. I need tissues. No, I had a really unhealthy relationship with food growing up. I started modeling when I was young and I was a dancer and I was tall. So
You still are.
yes, I am. It hasn't changed.
5'9.5".
Okay, whatever. But I had a very unhealthy relationship with food because I always felt like I needed to be skinnier. And I was a small person because I was working out 4 hours a day in dance. But I always I need to be skinnier. I can't have rolls. I can't have like wide hips. And I was always a very narrow person. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see that. So I would not eat. I did have like some eating disorder tendencies for sure. And I was just afraid to eat when I got into senior year of high school into college. I really focused on calories in a very unhealthy way.
Sure.
And if I felt like I had too much excess, I would go to the rec center at my university and I would spend hours on some sort of machine just trying to burn it off because I was so afraid of gaining weight. So I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. And I still do as an adult. Like I still kind of fight with that, but it's gotten so much better. And like I've had a good support system to help me, to educate me and help me with that.
And so that's the thing that I see more than anything else is that for whatever reason, right? Whether it's culture, society, whatever, just misinformation. People think of food as this bad thing, right? Carbs are bad for you, right? Certain things are bad for you. And I always like to think of in terms of rather than good and bad is what's better, right? What could be better, right?
Well, they have like different purposes, right?
Yeah. So carbs have a different purpose. Carbs are your body's most readily usable source of energy. Protein is what feeds your brain. It feeds your lean muscle tissue. Fat can be used as an energy source and an insulator, right? So, it's been cold outside here in Houston.
Bulk up a
And
little bit,
I've
boys.
needed the fat that I have on my body as an insulator to stay warm. So
Is that what we're telling people now?
It's a little cold out there. Put on your parkas, people. It's blizzard outside.
it is. So if we understand that, then I think it's easier to have a better relationship, quote unquote, with food in that it's not about like how much you weigh. The scale means nothing, right? If you can move fast and you can lift your own body weight, right? You can swing around on a bar and whatever weight your body needs to make that happen, that's the right weight for you to be.
Yeah. And
Right?
that's actually, I want to touch on this because you just kind of made me think about it. But I remember like we would kind of not have fights, but we have arguments over like when you were training me. So I was like, man, I'm going to gain too much like weight, bro. Like I'm going to be like 180. I'm 6'2" though. So like I would compare myself to somebody like Daniel who like goes around 150, 160.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, like that's, and I'd compare myself to other athletes that are like good in ninja. And they're all around like the 150. Like that's kind of their weight, even lower than that. Cause ninja's big on like strength to weight ratio. Like that's huge.
Yep, that's it.
But for me, I was just like, well, okay, so like I just need to be strong at 140 or at 150 but that doesn't work because like at a certain point, like I'm gonna gain muscle mass, regardless of like
As you get
what
stronger,
I do. Like
right?
I can't get stronger without gaining weight. So now I sit around like 175, 180, 170, like between 170 and 180. But I feel like more athletic than I was in the past. Now there's some aspects that probably did take a hit. Like I could maybe dead hang longer and like do different things. But I'm way more explosive. Like I think the first year I competed, I was at 140, 150, and I remember I fell on the wing nuts, and I just couldn't generate the power that I need. I was pretty tired, but like I couldn't generate the power I needed to. Like I just couldn't, and that was mostly because I was like just light. And then now that like I'm 180, I can generate a lot more power, just more explosive and quicker too. So that was one thing is like, and I still kind of struggle with it because I'm like, I don't want to like lift too much because then I'm gonna like be in the 200 club, and that's not where I want to be.
Well, 200 club might be a little heavy for Ninja,
Yeah.
right? If you're only 6'2".
Shout out Grant.
I mean, I think, like I said, it just has to depend on what you're doing, right? What you need your body to do, and that's going to dictate what how you eat and how you train. So, my suggestion always is to people is, if you don't want to do the whole calorie counting thing, the whole,
It's too much. Like for me, like
and I get that.
I want to
do.
get
It's a
get
lot.
into it because it would be awesome for me. But I struggle already trying to figure out what I'm going to eat. Sometimes like I come home
Yeah.
and like my
Oh,
dad's
yeah.
like, "What are we eating?" And I'm like, "Dang, I gotta like make something real quick." So
Pate.
if I
Get
if
the
I
pate.
also have to be like counting stuff and calculating things, it's adding like another thing that I have to do
Yeah.
when it comes to cooking, which is going to be like even more is already kind of a pain. So then I'll end up just not enjoying like eating and cooking anymore, and I'll just probably end up making just broccoli, rice, and chicken all the time, and then just hating food.
So I see that, and I've heard people tell me that too. And the thing actually that I did that helped me with it is it helped me to experiment with some things and try new things.
Yeah.
And so when I first started doing it, and I'm not saying everybody should do this, right? It's not for everybody because everybody doesn't have the discipline for it. But when I started it, what it taught me more than anything is what was in my food.
Yeah.
As
So
I
you
was
do it for-
learning,
Absolutely.
I was learning what was in my food. Now, I'm not like every day I don't get up in the morning and plan out every meal I'm going to eat. And I don't like,
He's got a little scale by his apple.
I
and he
don't
weighs
plug
it.
in all my food all the time, right? Because I've done it so much over the years that I have a concept now, right? I know that 6 ounces of chicken has over 30 grams of protein in it, right? So I can kind of guide myself through the day and what it does is it helps me make better choices, right?
Yeah.
And so do I believe that by me eating 150 grams of protein today rather than 145 grams of protein, that's going to make me completely different? No, because that's not what's accurate. But if I eat 170 grams of protein as opposed to 100 grams of protein when I need 170,
Yeah.
that will make a difference, right? In
How do you
building
know
that
what you
lean
need?
mass. Well, a lot of it has to do with your training. So it depends. So it all starts with calorie intake, right? So based on your weight, your gender, your age, your calorie burn needs, that's where it starts. And then from there, you just break down,
So like if somebody's trying to calculate that, like how do you do it?
There's all kinds of like calculators you can do online, right? So you can just go on and do like a base metabolic rate calculator, and it'll ask you what your age is, what your gender is, what your weight is, height sometimes, and then what you do during the day, right? So are you sitting down on your backside all day, not getting up till like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the
Why are you
morning?
looking at me like that? I've been getting up around like 9 o'clock.
Oh, my
sometimes.
bad, I forgot. I'm
Sometimes.
sorry.
Did he give
I
you the
woke
look
up at-
without
He's making those
blinking?
early risings.
What'd you say?
Did he give you the look without blinking? Like it's like
No, I
staring?
didn't. I just peripherals, man.
I was just trying to get eye contact, but and so it'll give you your base metabolic rate, which is basically just what your daily standard calorie burn is. And then based on what activities you're doing, like if you're going to go for a run, if you do a 3-mile run on average, somewhere to 200 to 300 calories or so you might burn.
That doesn't even seem like that much. Like, man, I did like a 2-3 mile run and I only burned like 200, 300 calories. And then you eat like, I don't know. I feel like you eat like a Cliff Bar and there's like 200 calories in that thing. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I should
Yeah,
look that
probably
up.
like 250, something,
It's something like that,
Yeah,
right? It's
Yeah.
about right.
Like that.
Yeah.
So like you're like, man, this small little Cliff Bar that's like, it's all right. That's a whole like 30-minute run.
And that is one reason why it's a good idea to get a concept of what it is you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Because the things you eat, they're perfect thing. I love the Chick-fil-A, right? I mean, I don't know who doesn't love the Chick-fil-A.
I don't like
It's
Chick-fil-A.
all right.
I'm sorry.
Calm down, bro. You know,
Yeah, don't
I
do
like
that.
it.
you know
I
that
like
chicken
it.
is from heaven.
But I've eaten better chicken.
Well, Potato.
Nice little rotisserie chicken in France. Come on.
Well,
man.
that I've never been to France, so
we
I can't.
all
I mean, that's
have
not
that
fair.
luxury.
We'll have to take you someday.
That's not a fair like
Is that in the budget?
comparison.
It's on the budget yet.
So, but like, there is this sauce they have called the Chick-fil-A sauce, and everybody loves it. They always ask for it.
Nice.
One Chick-fil-A sauce has 24 grams of fat in it. So one little cup of it, right, has as much fat as the chicken you're eating, right? So everybody's worried about the fried chicken, and really that sauce is way worse.
Yeah.
So how many calories are in one of those sauce packets?
I don't know. It's like over 100, 120, 130, something like that. Right? So most of the calories are coming from fat.
Because I know people that would just like
Just
get
drink
like
that
some
stuff.
No, they would just get some nuggets and be like, "Look, I didn't order nuggets. I ordered this sauce, and these nuggets are just a spoon."
Exactly.
For this sauce to get
They
in my
ordered
mouth.
sauce with
They're
a
the
side of
vessel.
nuggets.
They're the
Yeah,
vessel.
pretty much.
Right. And so, but most people don't realize that, right? And salads are probably one of the worst things you can eat.
Man, salad dressings.
Salads are the worst thing. What?
Because
the
what a
add-ons- okay, so as someone who eats a lot of salad, I can tell you that you can do some major damage without thinking about it on a salad, because the add-ons, people start putting croutons, they start putting all these berries, which yes, berries are great. Dried fruit is great, but there's a lot of sugar in it. You can start adding your dressing. Cream-based dressings, they're delicious, but
Closer to your mic.
cream-based dressings.
There you go. There it is.
Her voice just got super smooth.
You know, it's smooth jazz with
She
Lauren.
said cream-based dressing.
There's cream-based dressings. They're good, but they're full of fat, and they're gonna be like where all your calories are. So yeah, salads can get up there
Yeah.
fast.
Next time you go to
Salada.
since we're talking about
Count
Chick-fil-A, next time you go to Chick-fil-A, check out their salads
No, their
and their numbers.
Go to Salada.
Oh, like the
Nuts.
the calories. Yeah.
Nuts.
But here's so like I've known that fact. So like I don't really love salads. I'll make like a nice salad here and there, put like some nuts and stuff in there. But I always just do like a little like a vinaigrette, a little olive oil, balsamic vinegar type beat.
Sure.
Now, don't get me wrong, the ranch is way better and it tastes way better, but like it gets me through it. You know what I mean? It gets
I get
me through
it.
it.
So that's the thing, is that I just encourage people that if you know what you're putting into your body, then you also know what you're getting out from your body. And if so, I like to think everybody's an athlete. Okay. I don't care if you are hitting Ninja Warrior at the highest level, if you're just starting to train for Ninja Warrior, if you're trying to run your first 5K, it doesn't matter. Everybody is either an athlete or they have the ability to be an athlete. And so I believe that if you treat yourself like an athlete, it changes completely how you train. It changes how you eat. And then on the flip side of that, it changes the results you get. So everybody is so much more capable of than what they're actually doing, right? Everybody has more in the tank than they think they do, but it just takes some time. It takes some direction. And then it just takes a little bit of consistency.
Yeah. It's about right. I mean, we've learned a lot through like the fitness, the running, the little bit of nutrition. Should we go into some what do we call like the question segment? Just a bunch of random questions.
Just randomly, yeah. I'm down.
Yeah.
This isn't like trick questions.
Is that the name of the
I'm
segment?
gonna let
Random,
you go
just
first, Rocky.
questions?
Just do better than Grant.
I'm not gonna do two random questions. It's really make you pick one or the other.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I got nothing.
He looked at
Grant's-
me. He said, "I got nothing."
Lauren.
Yeah.
It's for both of them.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
or both of them.
Oh, okay. No, if it's only like a feminine question, then maybe we'll just go
Honey or syrup,
What?
honey or syrup.
right?
Oh,
Isn't that
well,
a thing?
On what
Duh.
though? It depends.
No, always. Well, honey.
Always?
No, honey.
No.
I mean, syrup's great, but honey.
On pancakes, you're tripping.
I've had honey on pancakes. It's
Yeah,
delicious.
but like maple syrup on like a waffle or pancake is superior to honey. Back me up here, James.
No, I will agree. Syrup is
Okay, there we
delicious.
go, there
Syrup
we
is
go, there we go.
delicious, but I mean, I will choose honey because I have plenty of it on stock
Lauren
at all
has a
times.
bias.
She's
I'm a biased
You just
opinion.
asked this to a beekeeper, dog.
Yeah.
I just want her to promote her brand real quick.
Thank you.
Oh, it was a plug.
It's a plug.
So what do you do for honey?
What do I do for honey?
How do you get honey?
Oh, okay. I was
She
like, I don't.
milks bees. She's
How
over
do you
there.
milk bees?
Just
Yeah,
milking those little bees.
I think that could be an
That
interesting
is,
quick
yeah,
topic.
that is a
You
question.
just
Yeah,
like
how
gotta,
do you milk bees?
You just gotta grab them. You gotta grab them out of the air and just ever so gently put over the jar and give them a little squeeze.
How many times do you get stung?
Every time I go out.
Yeah.
Ask her
no.
what she wears while she's
Yeah,
operating.
that's
Like-
probably like the better question. So, to any other keepers or anybody who's thinking of getting into beekeeping, I do recommend you wear your protective wear and wear your suit. Please do not ever follow my example because it can be stupid. But I generally
She's like
go
in a
out.
bikini when she does it.
I'm basically like in my workout attire. I'm usually in shorts or pants and a sports bra because I get really hot.
By the way, it's 30 degrees outside right now.
Well, I'm not doing it right now.
Is it not bee season?
No, it's not bee season. They're hiding right now. But I mean, I'll just say the max. The max I've been stung at a time is probably like 30 plus stings.
Why would you do that?
In one sitting. Well, so it was like an accident that happened. I was carrying.
Does it like not hurt?
Oh no, it hurt, but you just kind of have.
No, but like one sting.
It's more fear than anything. It's really not that bad. Oh. It's really people.
Like what's
build
worse,
it up.
like an ice bath or like getting stung like 10 times?
Ice bath.
Damn.
In my opinion.
I mean,
the sting. I mean,
I'm
I've
gonna
got.
say right now, if I get stung one time, I'm out.
I get stung and I don't even realize I get stung.
Oh, that's.
But you've kind of built up a tolerance
I
for
have.
it, so that's probably
Yeah,
partly why.
don't go out and like get stung by a bee on purpose to see your tolerance, please, because it kills
Do
the
they
bee. But
inject you with stuff?
yeah, they do actually inject you with a venom. So if you do get stung, you do need to actually get the stinger out in a certain way because it will actually stick in you and the venom will just keep leaching.
Is there like a certain number of stings to where like you would die?
Yes.
What's that
You
number?
never seen that
That's
movie?
a great question. Oh, my
That
girl.
movie.
My girl. That
My
thing
girl.
scarred me for life.
That movie. Yeah, that was also
Killed by
really
bees?
dramatized. But I don't remember the actual number. I think it can
Give me a
vary.
ballpark.
I would say if you start getting more than 50, you're going to go into shock.
You got pretty close with 30.
I mean, it hurt a lot. I was kind
she's
of
been
seeing
in bee
stars.
training, so she's
I was
okay.
seeing stars. It was
remember-
not fun and it was not intentional.
I remember when I
Like,
worked at Iron Sports.
obviously.
Sam made
I
me
remember
go.
that. I
Sam
was
made me-
there.
There was a whole bunch of bees, and Sam's like, "Man, just go get rid of them, move the stuff." And I
Get rid of
remember,
them.
You like
I
how he
remember-
told you to go do it?
I remember going inside, and Lauren's like, "Oh, it's okay. They're friendly bees. They won't sting you." I'm like, "Okay." I just listened to you blindly.
yeah, no, if you ever come across like a wild swarm in your yard, please don't ever take care of it yourself. Call a beekeeper and not an exterminator. Just
I
call
got
a
chased
keeper.
inside, and I got stung like 20 times, and it sucked, and it hurt.
It-
Did you,
remember I
were you
was
running
there.
around like
Yeah.
Yeah, I was ready. I was
No,
doing the
don't
whole
do
run.
that.
doing all
No.
this? That's not.
They
that's
were
a
like,
mistake.
he had this big old like work
You don't
jacket
do
on. And they
that.
were like in his jacket and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh.
it looked like I worked.
It does
out just
hurt when
one
they
arm.
I've had them get stuck in like clothes before. It is pretty terrible.
I mean-
I've been stung everywhere you can.
You know
honestly
what
imagine.
doesn't sting you? Maple trees.
That's very true.
Shout out the syrup one.
And you know what tastes better than honey?
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
Dang.
I feel like I'm in a losing battle here.
Yep.
You really are. There's no way. Dang,
Maple's
I'm trying to think of some questions here. Any TV shows you've been watching lately? Anybody?
Should I be ashamed to admit this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I won't admit
I'm
it then.
kidding.
No, what was it?
No, you just shamed me.
No,
What?
but they
You
don't.
just shamed me on national
Let me
podcast.
He's been watching
National.
Coco Melon.
First of all, it's not national. This is
Melon.
international.
Well, I do have a 5-year-old daughter, so I do
Bluey.
watch quite a bit of Bluey.
He watches Bluey.
But I just put my daughter on to
Vikings.
no
Such anarchy.
Powerpuff Girls.
Okay.
Wait,
okay.
the new one?
Are they
I
still
just
making
showed
this?
No, it's the old one.
Yes,
Spice.
the
But-
old one.
So sometimes I call her Mojo, right? And I don't even know why I call her that. I just
Mojo
say,
Jojo.
I was like, get over here, Mojo. And then she's like, Daddy, why you call me Mojo? And I was
that a
like,
bad guy?
I was like, yeah. I was like,
It's the
He's like,
monkey.
Mojo Jojo. And so I was like, let me show you. And so I put it on, and she will not watch anything else right now.
That
And then
is
she'll come
awesome.
up to me, and she's like,
timeless.
Mojo Jojo.
Honestly,
Mojo Jojo.
I could see that for Olivia.
Yeah,
Mojo
She
Jojo.
loves that show.
Yeah.
So
That was a great
I can
show.
handle it. It's not
Actually,
it's not bad.
It's a fantastic show.
Brings up what I've been reading Will Smith's book. He just wrote a book called Will. It's like a memoir. It's the best book I've probably ever written or read in my life. I did not read his book because it's his life story, which is like really interesting. I didn't realize I thought that the Bel Air story was kind of similar to his story. It really isn't. But so the book I've been reading is it's really good. It's good because one, his story is interesting, but he also drops a lot of just wisdom and knowledge in there and things that he's learned through his life that have made him successful. But he also will come from a place of he's super successful and he still talks about his struggles with certain things his marriage and other stuff. So it's a great book. If you have the time and want to read a book, pick up a book, you're looking for a book, go pick up Will Smith's book.
Maybe he'll come on the show since you just gave him a plug.
Shout out Will Smith. You know what? If you're trying to hop on the podcast,
Yeah.
It's actually on my to read list on my
It's
Audible.
amazing. I love the book.
I have it in my list.
But it's made me go back and watch Fresh Prince from like the start.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's timeless.
man.
Like
It's a great show.
I started watching it from the start, and it's still good. I'm like, this is like fun and entertaining to watch. It's like 20-minute episodes.
I don't know if I want to do the new one though.
I don't. It's
I heard
different.
it's real good.
It's like more dramatic.
Yeah,
it's not really like funny.
Yeah, I know, and I
I'm
think
sure
that's
there's
what I
funny
love
stuff in it,
about
but-
the original. It's just so fun.
And he's
the
like a
music, the
director on it.
style.
Yeah, he's a producer too.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
knew
or something
that.
like
I knew that.
So it'll still have a taste of some Will Smith in there.
I think
But
is there a musical number involved?
no idea.
I thought I saw
hope
me. I
not.
thought
I
there was
hope
a
not.
promo.
If they start singing them out.
I
I
don't know.
She says random stuff sometimes. It just comes from nowhere. So I don't think there's
Yeah.
a
Don't listen to me.
Fresh
ever.
Prince of Bel Air.
The musical.
But it's actually I went back to watch it because in the book he talks about certain moments like in his life. Like, so I also went back and listened to him, like some of his music and Jazzy Jeff's music, which is not as timeless. I don't love that. But you know, they got a Grammy for it, so shout out.
Top
But
5.
It's shout out Naj. But in the book, he talks about like, oh yeah, during this episode, like this happened, this, and then you're watching it and you feel like you have like an inside scoop on it. So it's
Yeah.
really cool. But yeah, Bel Air is like great show, and I remember watching it as a kid and being like, this is like funny. And I was a kid, and then now I'm like 23 and I'm still watching it, and I'm like, this is good.
It stood the test of time.
Yeah.
It really did.
Well, I mean, actually, that reminds me. So, like, obviously, I'm watching Powerpuff Girls because my daughter always takes my TV. But like the show I've really been engrossed in that really does remind me. It's an old school show, right? And it reminds me actually a lot of my own personal life. It's like the story of my life, and it's on Disney Plus. And they're coming out with this new show called X-Men 97. And it's basically just like a continuation of this show that was on in 1997 called X-Men. It's a cartoon and it's amazing. And I always picture myself as Wolverine going through life, just ripping stuff apart
Hugh
and
Jackman?
just screaming. No, he's really short. He's not like Hugh Jackman at all, but just claws out, just raging through life. Right. So I've been watching that and really just kind of reconnecting with
the OG
with
one?
97
Wolverine?
James. And it's legit. It's actually, I mean, the animation is, you know,
The fact that you just referred to compared yourself to Wolverine, my eyes rolled back a little bit in my head.
well, I'm immortal, and in the sense that I still look, you know, 22,
I used to
even though I'm
squeeze
not.
my fist like, come on.
Come on, claws! Come on, claws! Yeah, for sure.
That'd be very
here's the problem:
that'd be
is I
very
always like
inconvenient.
remembered Wolverine being this like bad dude, like nobody could touch him, like he was unstoppable.
He had anger issues.
And on this show, he is constantly getting destroyed.
Oh, is he?
Like he's getting schooled. He's like, oh, he rips out the claws. He's like, check these things out. And then somebody like throws him across the room on a nonstop basis. He's getting just dealt with.
That's funny. Were you around for like that era of hip hop that like Will talks about when like it's first starting to pop out with like the DJ booths? And
I mean,
how old were you?
I was young, bro. I mean, I was like very young, right? So I was like in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like not even 10 yet. So,
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't allowed to listen to that kind of music. So no, I wasn't around. I mean, I watched Fresh Prince of Bel Air. My aunt would let me watch it with her. We'd sit down, we watch Alf and Fresh
Oh,
Prince of
man,
Bel Air.
Alf.
And yeah, they were legit. And then I'd have to watch MacGyver with her so that she would watch the other two with me.
Didn't Alf eat cats? Wasn't that a thing he did?
He was. That's why I was a big fan of his, because he didn't like
That's
cats.
sad. He ate cats.
Yeah.
That's one thing I remember, and I thought that was very
I
upsetting.
don't even know what Alf is. I ain't even dog.
You're not missing anything. He's an
no, Alf
alien
was-
that came to Earth, that he was like a puppet.
He's like a Muppet, but he's crazier looking.
And he's just cracking
it's
wise.
Real ugly. Like it's real ugly
He's
though. no?
brown. He looks
think I
like
kinda-
Gonzo.
I
Yeah.
think he makes an appearance on Fresh Prince.
Does he?
Does he really?
You know, he
I
might
think so.
actually. You might be
Later.
right.
I mean, they were on the same network, right?
Yeah.
Him and Blossom or whatever.
It's like the Marvel universe, but the NBC universe.
It's the Alf universe, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air
crossover.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think of another quick, fun pop question.
I got one for you.
What you got?
Can I give you one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I give you one?
What depends?
Okay.
oh gosh.
France or USA?
Depend in what
In
like
what?
in what
In
though?
life.
Peanut butter or jelly is basically what I'm asking
But
you.
like what like to live and like what country's better in what department?
Nope. First thing that comes to your head.
That's not fair.
I don't know though. I don't.
That's not fair.
It
Nope.
depends.
No.
Oh, he got dual citizenship, baby.
But how about both? Because I literally can do both.
I'll take that
has
answer.
that option.
I'll take that. He's yet to invite me to his house on the French Riviera.
I get invited every summer, and I still haven't gone.
Yeah. Well, I think he has invited, but he's like, you got to pay your own way. That's not what I'm trying to do here.
Me back
Don't got the
too.
budget
I'm trying to
for
get
it
a
yet.
free ticket and
Remember, they're not that budget yet.
no, I know.
Gotta wait
We'll be
another
there
year.
soon.
I need y'all to listen to this podcast. Subscribe, watch, listen, do everything.
So we can
Actually,
get you-
Make sure you're on that Patreon.
So
are
we
you
can
guys
get
starting
James
your own
to-
podcast? Brocky didn't really tell me anything about this, but you and Lauren are starting your own podcast. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel called Running with James. Make sure you like, subscribe, check it out. It's
There you go.
It talks about running. We talk about training, all types of aspects of that.
So
we also
kind of like what we just did, but like more in depth.
Yeah, we do, obviously shorter videos, but we also do reviews of gear and shoes, right?
You do like shoes.
I love shoes,
This guy's
right?
new pair of shoes every week.
And
does.
no, let's not go crazy. But
Every 2 weeks.
Kinda, because I have to review
Bi-weekly.
them. I'm reviewing these shoes, right? And it's interesting, like kind of like you're talking about like training.
Yeah.
Like how interesting it is, the science of it. It's the same thing now with a lot of these shoes they're coming out with, is there's so much science and so much testing that goes into them. And they just got some really cool stuff. So I enjoy doing that. So we're going to be launching a podcast here in a couple of weeks as well called Running with James. So I'm excited about that because we're going to do, obviously we'll be able to talk more in depth about training, about running, about shoes, about life and all that good stuff.
I think we're also going to maybe talk about some of the competitions. And so if anyone ever wants to get involved,
Yeah.
we'll
So
give you some personal experiences with it.
yeah, so I mean that's one big thing that we do, right? Everything that we do is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we train often for some event, whether it's High Rocks, whether
High Rocks
it's
is the next one coming up.
Spartan races, whether it's
OCR Worlds.
World Championships, right? Whatever it may be, we're always training for something, and so it helps keep us motivated and keeps us our training focused toward a certain thing. So it'll be a lot about that. Lauren's going to be on as well, so we'll get that female perspective. I'm excited about that. And her and I are like on opposing sides on most things, right? I'm usually right and she's wrong, and so it's always good to have a very good, positive point of view that knows what they're talking about, and then someone who comes out in left field that
Just
doesn't
says
know
some
anything.
stuff.
You're right. James is tolerable and I'm absolutely adorable and relatable.
Wow.
So, and then my boy Rocky, right?
Shout out
His
Rocky.
mama named Adrian, but we all call him Rocky.
Wow, just exposed you right.
He's like, no, that's my government name. But he's going to be on as well. He's going to be producing. He's going to be kind of, I guess, what do you call that? The man behind in the chair, or the guy in the chair.
It's the same thing he does here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to let him talk more.
I mean, he has a mic. He just chooses not to talk.
We're gonna make him talk more. How
we're
about
gonna
that?
really insist
We're gonna
that
really
he
get him
talks
in there,
more.
right? So, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. We're gonna launch a couple episodes here in 2 weeks. So basically, second week in March, and hopefully we'll get to have some of the kind of nice people on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check that out, guys. If you're interested in more of these guys, but if you're not, it's all good. You can stick around here. We'll be here for you guys.
I think
You know what? There's enough room for all of us, man.
There really is.
Enough room for, because I'm going to tell you right now, as we do our stuff, I always talk about Kid, how amazing he is, and Daniel and Grant, and the
great.
kind of nice podcast. They should go and listen to it all the time.
It's true. It's true.
Stay tuned because I'm going to coat James and Honey and then release a hive of bees and see if he can outrun them. So it'll be fun.
Interesting. I'm gonna do the shout out of the week real quick. So we got a new one. If you guys want to be the shout out of the week next week, all you got to do is go to the iTunes podcast app. If you don't have that, you can still give us a review on Spotify, but I don't think you could write written reviews. But go ahead and do that if you want to help us out. Go to Spotify and give us a 5-star review. But the shout out of the week for the iTunes one is Casey Beardsley. I hope Casey Beardsley. Yeah, I think that's right. Casey Beardsley 1234. She writes, I've been digging this podcast. I find myself cracking up at work because these guys are so funny and clearly such good friends. Plus, as a Christian, I'm loving how they get into deep topics and biblical truths and are continually discussing them. Keep it up. Shout out to you, Casey Beardsley. Thanks for writing the review and enjoying the podcast. Also, if you guys want video episodes, more content, to be more connected with us, you can go to patreon.com/kindofnice. There's a bunch of different tiers. That's the best way to become more involved with the Kinda Nice community. Check out James and Lauren's new podcast here in 2 weeks, and then if you want to follow them on Instagram, you guys can go ahead and plug your Instagrams.
Sure. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, you can check me out at My BC Fit. That is my company that we do health and fitness, run coaching, all that great stuff. And you can also check me out on Running with James as well. Both of them are straight fire.
Lauren, go ahead.
Yeah. And I guess I'll go ahead and plug.
And that's all the time we have. Go ahead.
You can follow me at the Backyard Bohemian _ between the and backyard. So the _ backyard _ bohemian, I guess. Or if you want to see bee shenanigans, go to Honey Llama Farms. Quick plug there.
There you go. Real quick before they go, where'd you get BC Fitness from?
So BC stands for Building Champions.
Oh, no, it does not.
That's what we do at BC Fitness is we build champions
Is that
for
what
life.
that's why the logo is what it is?
So when I did American Ninja Warrior, right? 3 seasons, finalist every time. It's no big deal. But when I did it, when they allowed me on this show, nobody called me this except for in the gym. Okay. And they kept trying to call me the cowboy ninja. Mm-mm. They kept trying to make me this cowboy because I grew up on a farm.
I don't remember that.
And I just completely just like, no, I'm not doing that.
You don't want to drink the Kool-Aid.
They kept wanting me to bring boots and a rope. And I was like, I don't own a rope. What do you think this is? I live in Texas.
You do live in Texas.
So, but at the gym, they always called me Beefcake.
Beefcake,
right? So when I started my company, I was trying to think of a name. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call it Beefcake Fitness because we're hardcore and this is how we roll. And then I thought that's going to alienate so many people. And I might get the people I don't want to come for whatever reason, because it's going to be a bunch of guys that just want to do bodybuilding all the time, which I know nothing about. So yeah, they just want to get just jacked, right? So, I'm all about fitness and athletics. So
that is a little like misleading because you're more of like an OCR, like athletic company versus like when you think Beefcake Fitness, you would think like it's just like physique kind of gym.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why we put it to the BC, right? And so it's BC Fitness. So we just wanted everybody to feel comfortable and feel like they could be welcome because it is welcoming for everyone.
Building
right?
Champions was such a better answer though. It really was.
it's a good answer.
Well, it's transition to Building Champions because every time I say Beefcake.
Oh, you changed it officially?
Well,
transitioning.
It's transitioning.
I was fishing for the South Park episode. Kind of like that's what I was looking for.
Well, that's how I got the name.
Yeah.
So Geoff
Lancaster?
right? Lancaster,
he's been
right?
on podcasts too.
Every time we would do something, right? Especially him or whatever, I would do like the Cartman voice and be like, Beefcake, right? And so after, I don't know how long it was, he just starts calling me Beefcake. And walking around calling me Beefcake. And so then anytime someone did something at the gym that was awesome, and we'd be like, oh, that was Beefcake. Oh, that was Beefcake, right? And so it just kind of stuck, and that's just how it became.
Lancaster truly is the godfather for so many things that people don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah, he was always kind of just that background dude.
He was like
just
the
doing
trendsetter.
stuff, right?
Not doing our ab routine, but doing his own thing.
Yeah, that's right, because our abs weren't good enough for him.
Our abs were painful.
All right, guys, this has been episode 41 of the Kind of Nice Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Once again, if you guys want to check these guys out, the new podcast, go ahead and do that. And if not, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a great week. Peace.
I'm kinda nice with the gear. Shout out my area code. I'm feeling